Okay, so I'm just going to hit record here. Hopefully, my microphone sounds okay. I recognize this is not a beauty contest, so no makeup, no fixing my hair. I'm showing up at the end of a work day because if I don't, I'm just going to keep putting it off. And honestly, this is important to me. So, welcome to Common Ground. This is going to be a Bible study of sorts, probably not the kind that you're used to. I wanted this to be a place that is welcoming for people who are curious about God, curious about the Bible, wanting to dig deeper, wanting to learn more in a way that's exploratory for them and not necessarily guided by someone else in a way that feels strict or restrictive. These are probably going to resonate the most with people who have been bruised by religion or may feel like they need to show up a certain way in order to be accepted or to belong. And I want to say that you don't need to believe any specific belief to be here. You might find that it's helpful if you can show up and sit with questions. That will likely be helpful for you. But know that nothing is required here. Come and go as you please. Definitely don't feel like you have to feel the same way as me. I grew up in Southern Baptist and Methodist churches, so I learned a lot about God, about anger, expectations, a lot of hellfire and brimstone. So I think I really learned along the way a lot of who doesn't belong in church. So I have certainly had my moments where my tattoos, my relationships, my deep thinking questions just felt like I was standing outside of the story instead of being included in it. And so I really wanted to create a place where not only am I able to explore deeper and really like dive in and look at other translations and ask critical questions, but to know that I'm not having to prove or to disprove anything. I don't want to give up on what I've heard is the greatest story ever told. I want to have a space to be able to meet it on what feels like my own terms. And that's okay if it triggers people. I know it probably will. But I want people to know that I'm exploring the Bible as a living story about connection, about rupture, and about repair, and about love, and about fear, and belonging, and all of these things that make us human, especially the things that make us human when we find ourselves in the presence of something that's bigger than we are. So I recognize that the Bible is written word of God, as we hear people say. However, I'm also being very aware that it was also penned by man, and it was penned in a time when we didn't have all the ologies that we have now. You know, we had symbolism, we had different languages and different versions of spoken word. We shared story for connection. And so I'm coming to this work as someone who works with trauma every day, who works with nervous system connection, nervous system support, and with healing. And so I'm really going to notice things like safety and like threat and like exile and return and relationship and repair. And so I really want to say here that if you're coming to this Bible study, I don't want it to feel as if God is something that I'm here to defend, not an idea that I'm trying to debunk. To me, I'm going into this feeling that God is more of a creative force of unconditional love that I am learning how to recognize more deeply in myself and in the world and in others and within this story. So we're going to start within Genesis because I think that that's where any story begins, is the beginning, but it won't be rigid. We are going to jump around a little bit. And so I think I'm going to be posting this chapter by chapter. I'm not entirely certain on that. But when other chapters and books can provide better context to the lesson or the theme that I'm seeing unfolding, I will jump to that. And in every section, in every post, I will also share full page photos of my Bible, of the notes that I put directly into my Bible. So you can see the color coding, the underlining of the words. You can see the actual literal translations that I put in my own Bible. And so I feel like some chapters may help others make sense as we move along. This is going to probably feel kind of slow. I may pause in some areas and open the chat for deeper questions, deeper thinking. But my point here is that we will give space to sit in the uncomfortable parts instead of just rushing past them or trying to explain them away to make sense or not making sense and moving forward anyway. So my invitation here is that if something does challenge you, I want you to know that you don't have to push it away and you don't have to swallow it down. I think the best thing that we can do is to just notice what's happening inside as we're going through this. So I know the Bible has been a sense of comfort for so many people. It's probably also felt like a sense of harm for so many people. And so, if anything that we discuss here does stir up old wounds, I think first and foremost, what I want you to take away is that you should take care of yourself. Step away if you need to, come back when it feels right. But I don't want this in any way to feel like it's a class or performative or you have to stick to the structure or the routine. I want this to be more of a conversation. And that's why I called it common ground, because I think that when we come to this world to relationship with others with humility and with curiosity, I feel that puts us on an even ground where we're able to say we all have these different experiences, and yet in these emotions, in these things that we face with the human experience, we're so much the same. And so I want you to know that you don't have to agree with me. You don't have to land where I land when it comes to a story. I actually invite you, please, like share in the chat, comment on the post, like let's get some conversation going, because that's what this is all about for me. I know that this is a text that if it's genuinely as life-changing and as epic as people say that it is, and after starting reading it, I believe that it is, I think that it would hold up to question. I think that it would hold up to scrutiny and to people saying, well, let's pick this apart and dig into this a little bit further. So I welcome conversation, and just know that wherever you're coming from or whatever you've been through in the past, like I'm genuinely glad that you're here. So we're going to start at the beginning. We're going to see what kind of love is really being told in this story. And thank you for being here.